In this story, A Journey to Alabama. I'm Joanne Green. On vacation, we travel for rest, relaxation, and adventure. Other times, we brace ourselves and head out into a great unknown to bear witness, to expose ourselves to the horrors of history, to learn about people and actions that have impacted countless others for generations, so we don't let it happen again. Visiting the Theresienstadt and Auschwitz concentration camps years ago was like that for me. Seeing where the horrors took place and hearing from people who lived it made history come alive in a very different way. Yes, it was painful, but unlike so many Jews, including my great-uncles, I got to walk out and reboard the bus. In many ways, my recent civil rights trip to Georgia and Alabama was like that. When you're face-to-face with people who were there, on the very ground where atrocities were committed, you can't pretend that it didn't happen. And knowing can lead to action. As a child outside of Boston in the early 1960s, I heard about the civil rights movement. Of course everyone is created equal, I thought, no matter their skin color. Why then could Hattie, our cleaning woman's daughter, come and play at my house, but I wasn't allowed to visit her? If her neighborhood was dangerous, as my father warned, why did she live there? The more I've learned about our country's history, from slavery through Jim Crow, the Great Migration, the fight for voting rights, police brutality to young black men, and mass incarceration, the more curious I've been to hear personal stories, especially from those who were on the front lines. As with Holocaust survivors, time is running out to hear first-person testimonies from Bloody Sunday on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, and from the park in Birmingham where vicious dogs and high-power water hoses were set on black children. Reading books, listening to podcasts, and watching films about the arc of African-American history is powerful, and I believe essential. To understand race relations in the U.S. requires an understanding of what's taken place for hundreds of years and what is taking place today. But sitting with people, face to face, and hearing how their lives have been defined by the civil rights movement provides a deeper level of impact.
I don't know what it's going to take to make the world right. I do know that you should not be sitting waiting for it to happen, for somebody else to do it.
That's the voice of Joanne Bland, a wise, passionate, straight-talking 70-year-old black woman from Selma who vividly recalls staring into the window of the local drugstore where only the white kids could order sodas and sit at the counter. We met her in a large, dark space filled with artifacts and memorabilia from her life of activism. As a child, she told us, the women of her church were organizing to be able to vote in the upcoming elections. Then, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. came to town and organized a Sunday protest march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Joanne was 11, and she went with her then 15-year-old sister, Linda. When they came up over the high point on the bridge, they saw sheriff's deputies mounted on horseback, blocking their path. Within minutes, they were being chased and beaten. Linda sustained serious head injuries, but a few days later, stitched up and ready for more, Joanne's sister went on to be the youngest person to march all the way from Selma to Montgomery. Joanne Bland is among many featured in an excellent NPR podcast series entitled White Lies, from which this audio was taken.
When you talk about reconciliation, you have to talk about a way to distribute the power. And nobody wants to give up any power. Anytime there's a minute shift in power from the people who are holding the power, a battle ensues. I can give you a perfect example. The signing of the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Tell me 1 year it has not been under attack. Come on, I'm listening. So if voting's not important, why would you try to keep it away from me? And why would you try to stop people from voting after they get the right to vote? if it wasn't important.
Joanne Bland co-founded the National Voting Rights Museum in Selma. Her sister Linda Blackman Lowry's book, Turning 15 on the Road to Freedom, My Story of the 1965 Selma Voting Rights March, is appropriate for young readers and is available on Amazon. In Birmingham, Alabama, we had the privilege of spending an hour with the Bishop Calvin Wallace Woods Sr., perhaps the feistiest, most passionate 90-year-old I'll ever meet. He told us about the March on Washington in '63, what it was like the day the 16th Street Baptist Church was bombed and those 4 young girls were killed. Hearing his voice crack as he shared the pain he and others endured at the hands of Bull Connor, then Commissioner of Public Safety in Birmingham, was so powerful.
During the movement, the Lord brought different songs to us. Sometimes we didn't know what people were going to sing, but he always taught us to join in with those songs of heaven that he gave us. And let's begin with one we used to sing, I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. I'm gonna keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Oh, turn me around.
Our group of 26 was both white and Jewish, and it was evident that each of us felt the pain and applauded the courage of these civil rights heroes. We returned to our homes, changed, and resolved to do more as the battle for voting rights continues. Thanks so much for listening to In This Story, my memoir-style micro-essays. I've written a full-length book, By Accident, A Memoir of Letting Go, which is now available in paperback, as an ebook, and as an audiobook. You can purchase it online or at your favorite local bookstore. If they don't have it in stock, they can order it through Publishers Group West, a division of Ingram. Again, it's By Accident, A Memoir of Letting Go by Joanne Green.